Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Today I am doing a Create This Book 2 episode. Yet again, it's been a long time, I apologize. But here we are today going to complete 2 pages in here. I am very slowly making my way through here, but if you guys are interested in seeing my previous episodes, I will leave the playlist linked down in the description box. So let's get going. And first up, we have the page with the prompt, create a daydream. And you can't see it right now, but I'm using a piece of computer paper to do the art on before gluing it in, just to make it a lot easier for me. And then I can use whatever type of art supplies that I want without having to worry about things bleeding through onto the pages on the other side. So I started by sketching this out, and then I'm using my ever so hated colored pencils to color this in. And here I am yet again thinking that I would like colored pencils and that this would be a good idea, but it in fact was not a good idea. So I stopped doing that after my hand got tired and I moved to a new art supply. In retrospect, however, it does look cool and I like the completed product with all of the different types of art supplies. So from moving away from those dreaded colored pencils, here we are using some Tombow brush markers. I chose these because it was a very similar pastel kind of look, and that's what I was going for originally. Things changed after I brought in other art supplies, but at this point in the process, I was going for a pastel look. So as you can see, we have like this dreamy archway thing and like some fancy clouds and art. I don't really know how to describe it. It just looked very dreamy to me, and it kind of suited a daydream, in my opinion. And then I have some ballet dancers because I thought that would be pretty. So I drew those out. And the next art supply that I brought out were some watercolors. I'm using these koi watercolors here, and I'm also using cotton balls in combination to try to make the clouds look fluffy. So this was a great technique in theory. However, there would be some things that I would do differently if I were to do this again. First of all, I would probably use acrylic paint instead of watercolor and also mix some type of like school glue into it, because I noticed that once it dried, it just didn't stick, which kind of makes a lot of sense. In here, I'm just using water and the watercolors, and it worked sort of, but it's definitely very delicate now after I let it dry for about 24 hours. But I didn't do this for all of the clouds, just some of the ones in the front, and I just piled on the watercolor, piled on the water until it all stuck together. So this is actually the next day after those clouds dried. Took a long time, and I'm just going and filling in shadows with some more colored pencils, more markers, just trying to add some depth to it, because also the watercolor came out a completely different color than everything else, so I needed to kind of balance that out. And I'm also outlining some of the stuff because I thought that just looked a little bit one-dimensional, I guess, and this seemed like a good option. So I did that with this black fine liner. They tear apart Voltaire just like afternoon croissants, strolling over bridges that were built in Renaissance. Isn't that what every Roman's love in 20s? And going along with the extra shadows and stuff like that, I am just outlining a lot of the clouds with a colored pencil to make them look a little bit puffier and more crisp on some of the edges. And this really did help, and I think it looks a lot better than what it did before. And next up, we're pulling out yet another art supply, sort of similar. These are some metallic watercolors that were very inexpensive, purchased from Michael's. So I'm just using that around there to add some more detail, make it look even more dreamy, and I'm doing that in combination with some other gold metallic-y markers and stuff like that to add detail, color things in, just try to make it look as fun as possible. So I wanted to do something cool with the ballerina skirts, so I'm using toilet paper here. And I'm using a similar technique to what I did with the clouds, except first of all, I'm gluing the toilet paper on, and then I am coloring it in with some watercolor. And this worked really well, and I think it looks really pretty. I'd left some of the edges like not with watercolor, so it kind of flared out at the edge, and I think it's really cool. So I would highly recommend this very odd technique. And here is the completed page. Overall, it was kind of a disaster making it in the process, but it turned out really cool. And next up, our page prompt says create splatter paint here. So I decided to do an office themed page, which I don't know why I haven't done this sooner, but it was an idea that came to my head, and then I decided to find a prompt that would suit an office themed page. So it's kind of backward. And as I was flipping through my Create This book to find a prompt that would be suitable for this theme, I saw this one and I instantly thought of Kevin's chili. So here I am drawing out a picture of Kevin with his famous chili, and then it is spilling all over the page. And then later I was going to add some splatters with paint of the chili that he has spilt everywhere. So I drew this out, and then I'm coloring it with Crayola Super Tips. These are my favorite, mostly very inexpensive markers, and there's so many colors, they last a long time. I couldn't recommend them enough. And then I also am drawing out some other office themed doodles. So I've got some beets, some cheese puffs, the teapot, all of that fun stuff. So this is the same thing. I sketched it out first and then coloring it in with the Crayola Super Tips. And then because I did this on a separate piece of printer paper, I cut out all of the faux stickers, and then I'm just going to use them in the actual Create This book. So because this is a paper company, I decided to make the theme also paper themed. So I got out some printer paper and cut that into strips and cut those into pieces that kind of resembled like typical paper. And I wanted to layer these all around the page to first of all give the page like some texture in the background, and then also just to nod some more fun to the office themed page that it is. So I glued those all in, trimmed off of the edges, and then began by just gluing in all of the mini stickers that I made all over the page. I didn't really have a plan with this, but they ended up all fitting perfectly, so that is awesome. And then because I needed to do some actual splattering, I'm using some watercolor here, a combination of red and brown to look like the chili color. And while doing this, I actually got paint all over my iPad, so that's awesome. But here's the completed page. I think it's super cool, and I had a lot of fun making it. I also added this little The Office logo at the top, just for something else. And yeah, that is how this page turned out. And that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know which of the two pages was your favorite in the comments. And that is it for today. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!